Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Tittle Tattles Tarot. It's Georgie. And on the table today, I have the Knight Templar Tarot. And they are going to help me with a reading regarding Queen Victoria. Now, did you know that Queen Victoria had a sister, a much cherished, much loved sister? Well, she was actually a half-sister, but I believe that Queen Victoria looked on her as a total sister and absolutely adored her. So we want to look at this relationship. Queen Victoria's mother, she had a first marriage. And through that marriage, she had two children. She had a boy and a girl. And it's the girl that I'm interested in, Princess Feodora. And this is who I want to know about, her and her relationship with Victoria. Now, Queen Victoria's mother, her first marriage, unfortunately, her husband died when Feodora was 7. So, very tragic. This little 7-year-old girl is fatherless, and obviously terrible for Queen Victoria's mother. And she quickly becomes engaged to the Duke of Kent, who is Prince Edward. And this is when they come to England. And Prince Edward, Duke of Kent, he very much sort of brings up Princess Feodora as his own daughter and cherishes her and loves her very much. And 5 years after his marriage to Queen Victoria's mother, Victoria comes along. So the age differences at the moment, we've got Feodora is 12 and along comes Victoria. As a little baby, she's 8 months old when her father dies, the Duke of Kent, Prince Edward. He dies when Victoria's only 8 months old. He has a really bad cold, which I assume must turn into something like pneumonia, perhaps, and it kills him. So now we have the mother, the daughter, the first daughter from her first marriage, Feodora at 12, and little Victoria at 8 months old. And we have these three females altogether. And the person who steps into the breach is Sir John Conroy. And this reading isn't about him, and it's not about Victoria's mother or any of that. This is about the relationship between these two girls, the 12-year-old Feodora and the 8-month-old Victoria. Now, Feodora doesn't get married until she's 21. And by that stage, Victoria's 9. So Victoria has Feodora at Kensington Palace for a lot of years, up until she's 9 years old, she has her beloved sister with her. So I just want to pull some cards about that, please. So, Knights Templar Tarot, can I just have some cards to illustrate the relationship between Queen Victoria and Feodora up until Victoria is 9 years old and her stepsister gets married and moves away. So let's just see what we get. The Magician, King of Pentacles, and Page of Swords. I'll take the King of Pentacles first of all. I see that as the man that Feodora will marry. So this is, leading up to the time in which she will get married at 21 to her King of Pentacles, which meant it took her away. So before we get there, let's look at the Magician. I think that there was an awful lot going on at Kensington Palace that these two girls dealt with. I think that they are probably each other's rock. The Magician is sleight of hands, things going on, you could say sneaky. I think probably it was. John Conroy was not a decent man. He was a magician. He was somebody who was manifesting something for himself, I believe. He didn't have the welfare of Victoria at heart. He had his own welfare at heart. And I think her mother was quite a weak woman who needed a strong man around her. So, you know, this magician figure, I see that as all the jiggery pokery that was going on at Kensington Palace, all the stuff that a lot of people didn't see, all the deception and all the things that were going on, and John Conroy very much manifesting things for himself, doing little bits of magic here, there, to increase his own power, to make him a stronger magician. So, you know, that's where I'm seeing that. King of Pentacles, this is when Feodora's match comes up, and she is betrothed to her King of Pentacles in Germany. So, you know, this is all right at the very end. So we can work backwards from this. And the Page of Swords, that is that message that came through, that, you know, there would be a betrothal, that she would marry her prince, and they would get married at Kensington Palace. But then after that, Page of Swords saying goodbye. This is very much, you know, the message of truth. You know, this is going to happen. She will be leaving, she will be going. And, you know, legally, that's right. That's absolutely just. And it's the fair thing to do. And, you know, she will go off and make her own life. So we're starting at the top and we're going to work back. So this is right when Feodora is 21 and Victoria is about 9 years old. So this is everything that's going on there. So let's work backwards from there. So the years before, how close were these girls? The years before she met her King of Pentacles and was married and left the country. What was life like then, the world? These two got on tremendously well. They were each other's comfort, and I think they made life bearable for each other. Must have been very oppressive living that life. And I think without each other, they felt that they would have sank. Unfortunately, Victoria only had her with her until she was about 7 years old, but it was so important to Victoria to have this older sister. And I just think that they were very much joined and very much in this world together, in this very claustrophobic, confined world. And you know, they made a good job of being together, us against them. That's where I see the world here, us against the world. So let's have another one about Victoria and Feodora in those years. I'm going to take two here. Yes, the Star is a healing card, and I think their relationship very much was a healing relationship. Probably more so Feodora being the older one. I think that she was the one who, you know, was that healing energy. She soothed Victoria, and I think she was very much that comforting figure, just helping her, because it was, as I said before, it was such an oppressive atmosphere. And I think that she was the buffer between Victoria, her mother, and John Conroy. So this card here, the Star, it's a lovely healing energy. And I believe that's what Feodora was in this little setup in Kensington Palace. Two of Cups, well, you know, we've got a male and a female, but I very much see the Two of Cups as Victoria and Feodora. They were on the same page. They had to endure the same things, and you know, had to live in this very stifling palace. And they got each other. And I think, although, you know, she was a lot older, I think that they just were very, very good, dear friends, and were certainly sisters. So let's just have a little bit more on their upbringing. Nine of Swords, yeah. I think that there were a lot of sleepless nights. I don't think that it was a happy environment, and I think that John Conroy was a lot to blame over this. But I think equally both girls felt this very much. And I think that it was a Nine of Swords to Feodora, because she knew that at 21 she was going to be married and she was going to leave, and that would very much leave her sister all on her own with this terrible Kensington Palace routine, you know. So I see this Nine of Swords actually more of Feodora's energy. As she was getting older and she was, betrothed to her King of Pentacles here, and she knew that she would be leaving after the wedding. I think that she felt this Nine of Swords, my poor sister, and I'm sure she thought of her as a sister, and Victoria thought of her as a sister, never a stepsister, a true sister. So Nine of Swords, another one about Feodora's feelings. Six of Pentacles, yeah. Their relationship had always been very even, give and take. I think that they had both helped each other tremendously. They've both been a source of comfort. There was not one person in that relationship that gave more than the other. It was very even, give and take. They both soothed each other. They both cared for each other. An incredibly tight, incredibly close relationship. So after Feodora has met her King of Pentacles, Victoria is only 7. Her dear sister, she leaves Kensington Palace and she goes off to Germany to start her life. They write to each other. And the letters that they write, hundreds and hundreds of letters over the years. Victoria was an avid writer, and they just, poured out their hearts to each other in letters. And there you are. It's a new start. It's a new start for Feodora. She's gone off to Germany. She's going to be having children. She's got a marriage. She's got, her life, a new start, her own family being made. And little Victoria, she's only 7, coming up to 8. So she still has a lot of time left at Kensington Palace under the Kensington system. So she's still got all that to in front of her, still bearing it on her own. But Feodora, it's a new start for her. It's a new start for Feodora. Queen of Pentacles. There we are. She's got her King of Pentacles. Remember, we saw him earlier. And there she is, the Queen of Pentacles. This is your very down-to-earth woman. This princess was not flighty. She was not she was not airy or anything like that. She was very down to earth. She would have been a good mother. She had quite a few children, just like Victoria did. She would have been a very good, responsible mother, very earthed energy. So that was her new start. So what about Victoria? She's now on her own in Kensington Palace, and she's writing to her sister, the Empress. I think that Victoria very much saw her big sister as like an empress figure. This woman's now married and settled, and I think Queen Victoria, or Princess Victoria at that time, she very much wanted to be with her, and she saw her as like the ideal woman. I don't think she saw her mother as the ideal woman, but I think that she saw her sister as this empress, as this wonderful mother, wonderful wife, kind, caring person. And she held her in the highest regard. She held her in the regards of the Empress. And all the time these letters are going backwards and forwards. The Emperor. Now, when Victoria is in her late teens, she meets her husband. So and then, he very much is the emperor. And I should imagine that she writes to her cousin and says all about having met Albert and, how much, she thinks about Albert. And there would have been a lot of correspondence about Victoria meeting Albert and everything there. 10 of Pentacles, yeah. And I think that Victoria very much saw Prince Albert as her 10 of Pentacles, as her way of escaping the Kensington system, very much of being independent. So, she went ahead and married him at quite a young age, and the letters would have been going backwards and forwards about, about Albert and about Feodora's husband and her children. And this was the Ten of Pentacles for Victoria, because it now meant she was a married woman and she had rights over her own life. She didn't need her mother accompanying her everywhere, and she didn't need John Conroy dictating what she did and where she went. So that was her Ten of Pentacles. So both women now are very settled and very happy, but they are thousands of miles apart. So they had different opinions to raising children. They both had their children, and they had very different ways of dealing with things. Yeah, so here, it's a new start for Victoria. Death is, coming out of the Kensington system, marrying Albert, and then having her first children. And I don't believe that, being a mother came easily to her. I think that she didn't birth children easily. She found being pregnant and having children not the experience that she wanted. She created these children with her husband, but I think that they were an annoyance to her. And this death card to me is just, well, you can even see some kind of castle in the background here. And it is that real unhappiness about being a mother. And I think that's very true of Victoria. And I believe with the Eight of Wands, this is your communication card. She would have written to Feodora and said, about this, about, how her life had changed so much. And, producing these children, the death is like creating something, it is a creation card. Something, grows and creates, but something has to die for that to happen. And I think that she felt she lost a part of herself with every pregnancy. I think she lost a little bit of herself. And I think this is where all that cloying came from, being so dependent on Prince Albert, because something inside her died with every pregnancy. And so I don't think she relished her children. And then I think this is where the communications were coming in, fast communications backwards and forwards between her and Feodora. So what would Feodora have said, about Victoria's lack of maternal instincts? Seven of Pentacles, yeah. You've got to work on it, work on your relationships, work on having an open relationship with your children, to grow these. He's got like a field of little pentacles here, and they're all growing. These are Victoria's children. Without nurture, they won't grow well. You need to feed them and water them and love them and cherish them. Look how this figure here is like protecting his field of pentacles, putting the effort in. And I think Feodora would have said to her, you need to put in, a lot of effort with these children, because how they come out is, how what you put in is how they will come out. And I think that would have been her advice to her little sister. So unfortunately, both of their husbands died in very quick succession. I think Feodora's husband died in 1860 and Victoria's Albert died in 1861. The moon, yes. These women were both very much put their husbands before everything else. The husbands, although Feodora I think was a more nurturing mother, the husband was the important energy. The husband was the important energy in the relationship, more so than the children. The children were just there, especially for Victoria. And so the moon, this is all the feelings underneath, all the turbulence underneath. And, they communicated especially about, the deaths of their husbands and, could sort of console each other at a time when I don't think Victoria had anyone really to talk to much. So let's see what else we've got here. Ten of Wands, yes, it was a terrible burden for both of them. So, and they poured out their burdens in these letters. and you know, could really empathize with one another. And I think this relationship was so important to Victoria because she didn't seem to have many women around her. She had her daughters around her, but you know, throughout her life, Feodora was a constant. She was somebody there who was with her up until she was 7, and then she was someone there, you know, through these letters and encouragement and advice. And I believe that Victoria took her advice, which I don't think she took very many people's advice. So I'm going right to the heart of the situation. The heart of the situation regarding Victoria and her sister Feodora. Yeah, Page of Cups. I mean, this is your Page of Cups is just love. Here's the figure on their knees, you know, and just bowing down. It is absolute love and cherish. I think it's emotions from the heart, very young emotions, and I don't think Victoria ever forgot how important Feodora was to her when she was growing up, that she was like this other mother figure. We had that empress, didn't we, back here, that she was like this empress figure to Victoria. And I think Victoria, the Page of Cups, she always had that incredibly sentimental, incredibly deep feeling towards Feodora. And King of Wands, okay, it's male energy, but wands are passion, you know. And I think after both of their husbands died, you know, their letters became so important, so much more important in a way, because they were both grieving and consoling each other. And the King of Wands is very much that sort of passion card, and they would have done it through correspondence, but you know, passionately talking about the loves of their lives, I believe, about these men, they're Kings of Wands. And you know, they would have poured out their hearts in letters about the men that they loved. I think this is a lovely reading. These two ladies, they went through a lot together, and despite that big age gap, they were incredibly close. And I think this is the closest relationship Victoria ever had with a female. And she didn't look on her as a half sister. She looked on her as a whole, a full sister, if not like a sort of mother figure. I would like to know more about Princess Feodora, and I think I will look into her. And if you don't know anything, or if you know more, it's not hard to know more than me. So if you know more and you'd like to sort of, you know, add some points to this, I will be very, 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 very pleased to hear what you have to say. So yeah, interesting. I will be back very soon with another reading, and you take care. Bye-bye.